Hello class, I'm Teacher Daniel, and today we will discuss the properties of the operations on integers. Our most essential learning competency is illustrates the different properties of the operations on integers. The first property of the operations on integers is called closure property. Under this property, we have closure property of addition. For any integers a and b, a plus b is an integer. This is closed for addition since addends are integers. So the sum is also an integer. For example, we have 7 plus 10. So the addends are both integers. So the sum is also an integer, which is 17. Another example, negative 15 plus positive 12. So they are both integers. So the answer is also an integer, which is negative 3. Next, under closure property, we have closure property of multiplication. For any integers a and b, a times b is an integer. This is closed under multiplication. Since the factors are integers, then the product is also an integer. For example, 7 times 3, the factors are integers, then the product, which is 21, is also an integer. Another, negative 5 times positive 2. So they are both integers. So the product is also an integer, which is negative 10. The next property is called commutative property. Under this property, we have the commutative property of addition. For any integers a and b, a plus b equals b plus a. So meaning, the order of the addends will not affect the sum. For example, we have 10 plus 5, that is also equal to 5 plus 10. It doesn't affect the sum. 10 plus 5 equals 15, and 5 plus 10 is also equal to 15. Another example, 20 plus negative 8, that is also equal if I write it in this way, negative 8 plus 20. It doesn't affect the sum. So 20 plus negative 8, the answer is positive 12. And negative 8 plus 20 is also equal to positive 12. Second, under commutative property is commutative property of multiplication. For any integers a and b, a times b equals b times a. So the order of the factors will not affect the product. So for instance, we have 2 times 10, that is also equal to 10 times 2. So the order of the factors will not affect the product. They are both equal to 20. Another, 5 times negative 3, that is also equal to negative 3 times 5. So 5 times negative 3 and negative 3 times positive 5 are both equal to negative 15. The third property is called associative property. Under this property, we have associative property of addition. For any integers a, b, and c, quantity a plus b plus c equals a plus quantity b plus c. different groupings of addends will not affect the sum. For instance, we have quantity 3 plus 5 plus 2. That is also equal to 3 plus quantity 5 plus 2. If we simplify 3 plus 5, that is equal to 8, plus 2, that is equal to 10. On the other hand, 5 plus 2, that is equal to 7. 3 plus 7, that is equal to 10. So, different groupings of addends will not affect the sum. Another under associative property is associative property of multiplication. For any integers a, b, and c, quantity a times b times c equals a times quantity b times c. So, different groupings of factors will not affect the product. For instance, we have quantity 2 times 5 times 3. If we simplify 2 times 5, that is equal to 10, times 3, that is equal to 30. And that is the same if we have 2 times quantity 5 times 3. If we simplify 5 times 3, that's 15. 2 times 15, that is equal to 30. So, different groupings of factors will not affect the product. The fourth property is called identity property. First, we have identity property of addition. For any integer a plus 0 is equal to a, meaning the sum of any number and 0 will always be equal to the number itself. The identity element of addition is 0. For example, we have 15 plus 0. The answer is 15. Next, if we have 0 plus negative 8, of course, the number is, or the answer is, negative 8. Second, under identity property is identity property of multiplication. For any integer a times 1 equals a. So the product of any number and 1 will always be equal to the number itself. Always remember, the identity element of multiplication is 1. For instance, we have 20 times 1, that is equal to 20. Next, if we have 1 times negative 10, the answer is negative 10. The fifth property is called inverse property. Under this property, we have additive inverse property or inverse property of addition. For any integer a plus negative a is equal to 0. The opposite of the given integer is called its additive inverse. So the sum of a number and its additive inverse is always equal to 0. For example, 10. What is the additive inverse of positive 10? Correct. That is negative 10. If we get the sum of 10 and its additive inverse, which is negative 10, the answer is always 0. Another, negative 2. The additive inverse of negative 2 is positive 2. If we take the sum, the answer is 0. Negative 2 plus 2 is 0. Next, under inverse property is multiplicative inverse property or the inverse property of multiplication. the reciprocal of the given integer is called its multiplicative inverse. And the product of a number and its multiplicative inverse is always equal to 1. 3 times 1/3, that is equal to 1. So, the multiplicative inverse of 3 is 1/3. So, another term for multiplicative inverse is the reciprocal. So, remember, the reciprocal of 3 is 1/3. So, if we multiply 3 by its multiplicative inverse, the answer is 1. Another, -5. So, what is the multiplicative inverse of -5? Very good. That's -1/5. So, -5 times -1/5, the answer is 1. 6 is the zero property of multiplication. For any integer a times 0 equals 0. Always remember, any number multiplied by 0 is equal to 0. For example, 3 times 0, the answer is 0. Another, 0 times 25, the answer is 0. 7th, distributive property of multiplication. So first, we have over addition. For any integers a, b, and c, a times quantity b plus c is also equal to ab plus ac. Adding first before multiplying or distributing the factor to each addend will give the same result. For example, 2 times quantity 5 plus 2. That is also equal to 3 times 5 plus 3 times 2. So, 5 plus 2, that is equal to 7. 3 times 5, that is equal to 15. And 3 times 2, that is equal to 6. 3 times 7 is equal to 21. And 15 plus 6 is also equal to 21. So, adding first before multiplying or distributing the factor to each addend will give the same result. That's distributive property of multiplication over addition. So, let's have learning task number 1. Complete each sentence by applying the properties of integers. So, number 1, -8 plus 12 equals blank. Let us use closure property. So, the answer is 4. So, our given addends or integer, the result is also an integer. That's closure property. Number 2, -5 plus 12 equals blank. Let us use commutative property. What do you think is the answer? Very good. So, we have 12 plus -5. So, changing the order of the addends does not affect the answer or the sum. Number 3, quantity -2 plus 7 plus 10 equals blank. Let us use associative property. What do you think is the answer? Very good. So, we have -2 plus quantity 7 plus 10. Number 4, -12 plus +12 equals blank. Let us use inverse property. So, the answer is 0. And last, -38 plus 0 equals blank. Let us use identity property. Very good. The answer is negative 38. For our application, what property of integers is modeled in each situation? Number 1. Diane puts some lipstick on her lips but remains to be the same Diane. What property of integers is being modeled in this situation? Very good. The answer is closure property. Next, number 2. In preparing orange juice, John can put sugar first, then orange, or he can put orange powder first, then sugar. What property of integers is modeled in this situation? Very good. The answer is commutative property. So I think you are ready to answer our learning task number 2. Which property is used in the following? So we have 5 items. Thank you for listening. Our next lesson is all about square root of a number.